One of the most exciting things about seeing a West End show is the opportunity to see some of the world-class actors in action right in front of you. There's nothing that really stretches acting skills as much as live theater. And for many screen actors, film actors, Hollywood stars and singers, this is a really big badge of honor to be offered a chance to prove themselves in the theater setting. And in return, this is a really great chance for us fans to experience their artistry in the best way. And just in the past 12 months, I've had a chance to see Tom Holland, Nicole Scherzinger, James Corden, Brian Cox, Sarah Snook, Kit Harington, so many of them. And there are many more who are going to be performing in the West End. So in this video, I'm going to tell you 5 tips on how to make sure to know who is performing when and in which play, and also how to make sure to secure tickets, because as you can imagine, these are really popular ones. So let's dive in. If this is your first time on my channel, hello and welcome. I'm Christina and I love going to theater, and this year I'm on a mission to see 52 shows. And here I'm documenting my journey, sharing tips for seasoned and new theater goers. So if this sounds like something you would like to follow, then make sure to subscribe. Before I dive into my first tip, I would really like to know who would you like to see perform live on stage. So make sure to comment below your favorite actor and which show you'd like to see them in. The first and the most important question that we need to answer here is which actors are currently in the West End. And luckily, there are quite a few websites that are offering a comprehensive list of the actors, their shows, dates, as well as the prices. Personally, I found the one from westerntheatre.com the most comprehensive and the easiest to navigate, because it has a page that says stars on stage, and then all of the actors that are in upcoming productions are listed, and you can kind of just scroll through them in alphabetical order, and then you can see in which shows they're performing. And if you click on it, you can then be taken to the page where they say more about the production, when the production is on, and a little bit more details where you can see this actor. So I think it's probably the best guide out there to help you understand who you can see. And also it allows you to prioritize it by the actor if that is your main reason why you're coming to the West End and you just want to see this particular person, or you just want to see a celebrity. Then I think this way it really allows you to narrow it down by the person you're actually interested in, rather than going through all productions that you have in the West End to identify the ones that are with the stars that you want to see. Well, this might be the best way to check out who is currently in the West End. I think it's good to keep checking, or if there's a particular star that you know they might have their West End debut or something like that, then keep checking their Instagrams or publications such as What's on Stage or thestage.co.uk. These are probably the hottest places for the news that are as current as possible. In most cases, the announcements for casts are shared ahead before the booking even starts, especially if there's a big star in the cast, so that people can make sure to set their reminders and book the tickets. But sometimes also they can go a little bit under the radar. I remember when I went to see The Slave Play with Kit Harington, this was the one where they really tried to keep the cast secret as much as possible, because they really wanted to put the show at the center of it. Because sometimes when you have a production that is starring such a big name, it can really take away from the purpose of the production, because the audience is going to be filled with people who are just really eager to see this star. For example, Romeo and Juliet with Tom Holland really put Tom Holland at the center of it, so it was really hard to get the tickets, and there was like a lot of Tom Holland fans there, which maybe do not necessarily resonate with Romeo and Juliet or the production that Jamie Lloyd put together. So there's a lot of different angles that productions take when it comes to starring big names. If you are planning a trip to London or something like that, then this is worth bearing in mind, so you can plan it in accordance to when you can see your favorite star in the West End. The question number 2 is how to actually book tickets for these shows. As you can imagine, when you have a big name such as Tom Holland or Paul Mescal, there are so many people who want to get their hands on tickets, and this means that the demand definitely exceeds the number of theater seats, and a lot of people are left empty-handed. Normally when the announcement is shared, they also share when the tickets will be going live. I do think that there isn't normally too much time in between the announcement and when the tickets go live, maybe a week or 2, but either way you will need to set a reminder for yourself, and if possible maybe pre-register, so that you can get 2 chances to secure tickets, which is in kind of like pre-sale and general sale. Sometimes this is limited to, for example, members only, but sometimes also also everyone who signs up for like newsletter or something like that could also get a link for pre-sale. I remember when I was getting tickets for A Streetcar Named Desire with Paul Mescal, I needed to really be on it. As soon as the tickets went live around 10 a.m. I was there, and then I was literally like 10,000 in the queue or something like that, and it took me about 30-40 minutes in the virtual queue to be able to access the tickets, and even then the tickets were limited. The tickets are definitely more expensive when there's a big star associated with a show in most cases. I remember Cabaret with Cara Delevingne, there was around like £100 at least for the ticket, whereas like regularly you can probably find a ticket for like £40 to £50 on a night when you don't have Cara starring in. And I think it is just because of the demand and because the cheapest tickets go first, and then you're left with the most expensive ones. So the bottom line is that it is not impossible to get these tickets, but you really need to be on it and really try for them. The alternative, if the tickets are sold out, is for you to look into the resellers, which is probably the riskiest option. And I talked about my experience in the video where I went to see Romeo and Juliet, because in that case I wasn't able to actually get the tickets in the general sale, and I went for the reseller ticket. And you can watch this video to find out more about that experience. Otherwise, a lot of times the tickets are returned throughout the week or closer to the performance or on the day, so you can even like phone box office or just like keep an eye on the website really early in the morning and see if anyone has returned tickets, because they are normally updated in the system. But yeah, be prepared to be more invested in getting these tickets than you would normally for some other show. So you managed to secure the ticket, you went to see the show, and you absolutely loved it. And now the question is, can you actually talk to your favorite star and get an autograph or a picture? And the answer to this question is actually it depends. It really depends on how big this star is and what are kind of the protocols around the stage door, because as you can imagine with some stars like Tom Holland, it could be quite impossible for him to literally speak to every single fan. But for maybe like slightly smaller productions that do not have such big buzz around them, that is possible. So in my personal experience, when I went to see Romeo and Juliet, it was absolutely impossible to go and speak to Tom Holland or even get close to him, because there were about 200 to 300 fans just like all around the stage door area. There were also kind of like barricades. You couldn't really get close to him for obvious reasons, and there was a car waiting for him, so you couldn't really come close to him, and also there was a bodyguard and everything. So he literally walked out the stage door, waved at everyone, people took some pictures, and that was that. But then I went to see The Slave Play with Kit Harington, and I went to the stage door, and he was super friendly. There were maybe like 30-40 fans waiting for him, and he was chatting to people, he was signing autographs, taking pictures. I think that probably the reality is somewhere in between these two experiences. So I would say go to the stage door with the best of the intentions to speak to your favorite actor, but don't be too disappointed if you don't get to, because also depending on the night they might have something to do straight after or something like that. So it's a little bit of a hit and miss, and just a matter of luck if you're going to be able to speak to them. And the bigger the star they are, the less likely it is that you're going to be speaking with them. However, it's always worth a try, and don't forget that other people in the cast are absolutely amazing, and you never know how big they're going to become within a year or two. So I would still encourage you to go and check out the stage door and actually get autographs from people who are maybe not that biggest star in the show, but they're also very friendly and nice to chat to, and I think it can always be like a really good experience if you're into that. The fourth question is probably the hardest one to answer, and that is how to actually know that the star that you want to see is going to be performing on a given date. In majority of the cases, if the official production website doesn't mention that they are absent on particular days, then you should assume that they should be in the main cast. Obviously, there are understudies, and the actor that you really want to see might feel unwell that day or might have something come up, and it can happen that they do not perform on a date that you booked a ticket for, which is a little bit unlucky. And I think it's a little bit harder to enjoy a show if you just came to see it for that particular actor. But understudies are always amazing, and the cast is going to do 110% to deliver the best performance. So I think just don't be disappointed if that is the case. One hint also for this would be if the tickets are significantly cheaper on particular days, then it might be be that that actor that you want to see might not be performing, I think the last resort probably would be to email box office and just message them and say, I'm planning to come to London on this date for that particular performance, that particular actor. Can you please confirm that they are scheduled to perform that day? And hopefully they can then let you know if that is the case. The fifth question is if these famous actors are more likely to star in a play or a musical. And in my personal experience, I have seen more plays with famous actors in them than musicals. I think the musicals are reserved more for the actors who have had previous experience in musicals, or singers who are famous for the musical talent and then they're taken on stage. For example, I've seen Nicole Scherzinger, who is a famous singer, in The Sunset Boulevard, which just made sense because that's a musical and she was spectacular in it. But then Kit Harington, who we all know from Game of Thrones, he was in a play. Then Paul Mescal, who we know from TV shows and movies, he was also in a play. A lot of different actors, I think, from TV and screens, for them it's easier to move into plays because they are the roles that obviously require different set of acting skills, but still it's easier to transfer acting for screen to acting for stage than it is to have acting and then music combined together if music isn't necessarily part of their skills arsenal. I would say it really depends on the actor. If they're known for singing or something like that, then you can potentially see them in the musicals, but I think it's way easier for these transfers from screen to stage to happen. In that case, you are more likely to see them in plays, which in case you might not like musicals, might be great news for you. This concludes my list of 5 tips on how to see famous actors in the West End. The new announcements for casts and productions are released every single day, so keep an eye on the websites that I've mentioned for the news, especially if you're coming to London soon, so you can kind of keep an eye on those and not miss your favorite stars. I'm so glad that I managed to see so many famous actors, so you can check out my other videos starring some of the famous actors that I've managed to spot, but my personal favorites were Tom Holland in Romeo and Juliet and Nicole Scherzinger in The Sunset Boulevard, so check those out if you'd like to hear more about those experiences.